Hi guys, this is Sarida and today is December 20th, 2024, coming to you from Oklahoma, and I just wanted to get on here and share two dreams. The topic here, which I thought was really interesting, is that it's about the Obamas. Um, I'm former military and I've also worked in the intel industry, and so I thought this was very interesting, and I believe it has a lot to do with what I've been praying to the Lord about with the current state of our government, and therefore I come here to share it with you. So in my dream, I am working undercover, and I am working for the Obamas. I have infiltrated, and they feel they've gained a trust with me to share a lot of the inside details of what's going on. They're running a underground, a quasi type of government, and I am working in a skiff. And a skiff, if you don't know, it's a compartmentalized information center of sorts where top secret, very highly sensitive information is gathered, maintained, and it's extremely protected. I am working in this skiff, and it's a talk of sorts, where you have a bunch of screens, a wall full of screens, and you've got intel personnel gathering information. They're all working behind computers. And what I find interesting is that all of the individuals that are working there, as whether they're intel gathering analyst, they are all wearing this very green felt like jacket and khakis, very formal, but they're all white males, young males, and I understood that they were coming from Ivy League schools. And I just thought it was interesting that it was all white young males working there. And in the screen, I saw a multitude of screens put into one. But on the left-hand side of the screen, there was a like data being analyzed. And what the data was pointing to was that based on us, the populace, watching TV, the propaganda that was being put out, who was siding with it and who wasn't, who was falling for it and who wasn't. Like, they knew the numbers. And so they were strategizing as who are the individuals who are falling for it and following and going along, and whoever wasn't, they were developing new strategies. And this was based off whatever information was being put out, to kind of get the hearts and minds of the people to side with this, I guess you would label as fake news. But it was all propaganda. And it was amazing to me because it just showed me in the dream the level of control that government has, or not necessarily government, but whoever is pulling the strings has over the population. And it all comes down to the information that is fed to us, and then what we feast on, what we accept as our truths. And so, which is nothing new. If you think about World War II, Hitler was really good at that. And I believe that it's the same playbook that's has been utilized on us to see how much further the agenda can be taken. So anyways, going back to the dream, is that as I am working there and I'm seeing all of this take place, Barack Obama and Michelle call me off to the side, and we go into this small office. It's very dark, and they're very afraid. They're in alert, and they tell me, they show me these pieces of paper that have been crumbled, and they say, someone has infiltrated us. And they're like, Soraya, you need to find out who it is. Someone among us is leaking information, and we need to get rid of and find out who this individual is. So as I look at the pieces of paper, I quickly realized that there were pieces of paper from my journals. And the reason why I recognize this is because in one of the small piece of papers, I see the name of my sister written in my writing, and understanding that my name and my sister's name are extremely unique. They're not very common. And so that's when I realized, oh crap, they're going to quickly find, if they run this name, that it's going to come back to me. So what I do is I tell them, we need to leave this facility right now. We need to get rid of this facility. We have been compromised, and you need to follow me, and we need to get you both out of here right now. So they start to follow me, and I lead them down this basement of a building. Obviously, it was within the building we were in. And it's a basement, and it's a brick building. And growing up in the East Coast, basements, you have these small windows at the top of the wall. And so all of a sudden, Barack Obama gets very alerted. He's like, something's not right. I don't understand where you're leading us, but I need to get out of here right now. So he opens up a window, and he runs out of the window, leaves Michelle behind. And he runs, and as I see him, I then crawl out of that window. And as we come out of the window, there's like a U-shaped short bushes around, and he's crawling down trying to hide. And then I hear helicopters, and I look up, and there's a Huey, and I see that the door of the Huey is open, and there's a machine gun, and there is a crew chief there behind the gun, and it is two black males, young males. And as I come out, I point and I give direction as to where Barack Obama was, and he runs, and we're in a courtyard. So there's buildings in a U shape again in this courtyard, and in the middle of this courtyard there are two pieces of equipment which I find very interesting. One is a locomotive, like a old rail cart, just rusted, falling apart, just sitting there. And right next to it there is a farming piece of equipment, look like I'm not sure what it was, but it was a large piece of equipment that would be used for farming, and it's also rusted. And Barack runs to it to try to hide, and that's when the machine gun sets off bullets, and goes after Barack Obama. But what I see, instead of bullets, he gets hit on the left leg, upper leg. It's an arrow that goes through, not a bullet. So I see this arrow literally pierce through his leg, and now it's sticking out on both ends, and he runs into the farming piece of equipment. And Michelle runs, but she goes into the train, the cart, the old cart next to it. And it is understood that he's taken down and he's dead. And that's when people come out of the buildings that are around this courtyard, and it's people of every creed, every color, every social status. It's like the people, the American people, came out in celebration because he'd been taken down, and it'd been revealed that he'd been running this this other government, which, I mean, if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. I know there's all these conspiracy theories about, Biden has not, since he won the election, he wasn't in the mental state to really run a country. And just from working in the federal government, former military, living overseas for over 12 years, particularly Middle East regions, and also working throughout Africa, and been to Ukraine, been to the country of Georgia. You see the corruption. The level of corruption is so deep. Unfortunately, regular civilians, you're only are exposed to whatever the news is sharing, and even that is manipulated. And so that's why I've always, since I gave my life to Christ, and 2014 I was baptized, and God put it in my heart that my role would change from a soldier, one who wore the uniform to defend the United States, to become a soldier for him in the realm of prayer, dreams, sometimes even visions, but that it would be my gifting of prayer, my gifting of supplication, my gifting of interceding, that I would really dedicate my time and the rest of my life to just pray and be tactical about how I pray and what I pray for. And there's been multiple seasons where the Lord has had me praying about human trafficking, child trafficking. I made a video and I talked about the dream that I had of how children have been for centuries. This is nothing new. This is just an old spirit rearing up its ugly head again, because darkness will test to see how far it can get based off how far away we are from the truth. The farther we are away from the truth, the easier it is for us to be manipulated, and the easier it is for us to fall astray and to just go along with what is really corrupt, dark, sinister. And our energy is a commodity. Our faith is the thing that they're after, because when a civilization loses its faith, it holds strong to the will of man and not the will of God. And we're doomed to fail and to fall. Look at history. Look at look at all these powerful empires. Samaria, Egypt, even the Incas and the Mayans. It's a spiritual warfare. And we have to be vigilant. We have to be cautious to what we come into agreement with. And that's why your prayer life is so critical. I know that the New Year's coming, that the holiday season is for a short period of time of where we're sharing and giving. But that's what we were created to give, to share, to love, to forgive, to spread joy. to focus on what's really important, and it's not the material world. When all of that is taken away, we're truly tested. And that is what I believe this dream is about, that through the prayers and supplications, we're stepping into a season of, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out, guys. A lot of revelation. God's really put in my heart that the things that have been done in the secret chambers are being exposed. And unfortunately, when these things are exposed, it rocks the world. And it has to deal with this storm that is coming. You know, we've been hearing that quite a bit. And I believe that this storm is necessary to reveal the level of corruption, the level of evil that we unfortunately have allowed to take over our government, our businesses, our communities, even our homes, even ourselves. And so we have to be honest about where we are. And it's never too late. I feel like this is a season where we have to really look within ourselves and identify where we are weak, where we're not walking with Christ. And if you've been denying him, if you think that God is not real and that God doesn't speak still, and that Jesus is just this story that didn't happen. I questioned God once. I was angry, I was hurt, and I questioned him. And I challenged him. And he answered. And one day I'll share that with everybody. But I'm here to tell you that God is real. Jesus is real. The Holy Spirit is real. And there's dark days coming ahead, but more so for the unbeliever than for the believer. And I have to clarify, just because you claim to be a believer doesn't mean that you're walking in righteousness with God. And we're in a season of opportunity to clean our house. Clean our houses, not just the physical house, your internal house. We are the body. And I think great things are coming, because anytime something is revealed, that means things are getting cleaned up. I love plants. I have over 50 house plants, and I'm telling you, when there's a disease that or pest that attacks my plant, sometimes I have to literally cut everything off, clean the root. It's a painful process for that plant, for it to give it opportunity to grow anew. That pruning process is necessary. Well, we have to go through the same process sometimes, whether it's individually, as a culture, or as a world. And that's why when you read scriptures, you'll read many times we're reminded that it is better to lose an eye. It's better to cut that piece off that is rotten than for the whole thing to go rotten. Well, I think this is the season we're going through, that God has given us an opportunity. So don't get mad at God because it's happening. It's happening because of us, because of our decisions, because of the lack of our decisions, and because we keep turning our backs to God and we're not being obedient. And so I think this is a very important season, and just stay alert, stay alive. And anyway, so that was the first dream of Obama. The second dream was short and sweet. And that second dream, and by the way, these dreams all have taken place in 2024. The first one about, I had the dream in the summer, and the second dream was in the fall. And the second dream was that I was in a church, in a small little cathedral, and that I was watching a musical, like a small show, being actually given by a female who is a worship leader at my church. And at first there was like barely anyone there present, and so the show had to be delayed. And as I'm in this little cathedral, it's a white cathedral, very ancient looking, something that you would see maybe 2nd, 3rd century, all white plaster, and with a dome top. And so I begin to pray, and then I tell the worship leader to start singing. So she starts singing, which she has an amazing voice, beautiful voice, Morgan. And as she starts singing and she starts the play, more and more people come and gather. And then I hear a knock at the door, and it's my mother, and she's winded, and she'd been running. And I open the door, and I'm like, Mom, there's a show going on. And she says, I have news. They just said it in the news that Obama's dead. And she was pale and in shock. And then I woke up. So two dreams of Obama going down. Now, does this mean that Obama's going to be killed, or no? I think he just represents this corrupt antichrist spirit against our government, and not just our government, but world government, because what the United States has been involved with and is involved in and will always be involved in impacts the entire world. I believe, this is just my theory, that we have made some really nasty agreements with some very powerful people that don't care about the people but just about their own pockets. And that for a long time, all of these programs that you are going to see, that are going to be highlighted and spoken of in the news, have been ways to, in a roundabout way, load up the accounts of a lot of corrupt politicians. And that's why we see United States farmland, we see the attack on our food, the attack on our people. The sicker we are, the more they profit. That's why propaganda is important to them, and that's why it is important for us as the body to know our history, to do our research, to not just receive whatever is fed to us. God gives you that right to test all things. That's why it's important for you to read your Bible, because it gives you that foundation of discernment, how to build your discernment. The more you are in the Word, the more that you are in relationship and prayer and fasting. That's why watch out for any Bible that takes out the requirement for us to fast, because it is imperative. So anyways, you guys, just be watchful. Just wanted to share this these two dreams, and my next video I'll also share what God's been putting in my heart and with other dreams about the days of darkness that are coming. So anyways, love you guys, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.